So Charlie Kirk went viral for this comment that you're about to see. It blew up on Twitter. Take a look.
The country, being an American, 15% of millennials say they are proud to be an American. 15% say they are proud to be an American. As I mentioned, 1/3 of millennials describe themselves as being LGBTQ, 39%. 39%. It's 3 times the proportion identified among the combined older adults in the generation. This is the gayest generation in American history. And that's not a slur, by the way. It's not a slander. It's just the way it is. Someone's going to say, oh, that's a pejorative. They're the gayest generation in American history. It's what the study says.
I would say it's the most honest generation in American history. Look, I'm sure there's a little bit of variation over time in one direction or another, but I think the fact of the matter is people had these feelings throughout history, and now people are just being more honest about what they feel because we're at a time and place where people can be more honest about if they're bi or if they're gay. And by the way, that 39% number, I'm not sure, that has to include people who are bi. Because there's no way from all, I remember going down a rabbit hole on this a while ago. I don't remember what the number was, so don't quote me. But it definitely wasn't 39%. It was like 5% or 10% or something like that. And even that might be a little bit on the high end, maybe 2 or 3%. I didn't pull this up beforehand, and I should have, so that's my mistake. But 39% has to include bisexuality. But listen, it's just more socially acceptable now if people want to experiment with that kind of stuff. And, what I learned is I actually am in the majority in that I'm the straightest dude on the planet. But there are people out there who are on that spectrum of sexuality where they could be like 80% straight and 20% gay, which means they're bisexual, but they mostly, prefer the opposite sex. You could flip that 80% gay, 20% straight, so they're bisexual, but they mostly prefer the same sex. Like the spectrum of sexuality exists, and certainly as I've gotten older and I look around at the evidence of the world as it currently exists today, I realize, so it's just a lot more complex and nuanced than what I originally thought, what my default assumptions were growing up. Again, that 39% number strikes me as high. He's got to be doing something with the numbers there because it's not 39% that are just gay, full stop. But even if it was, okay. I mean, see, this is an area where, and you guys know this, when it comes to social issues, you're not going to find somebody who's more in favor of freedom than I am. I think basically all drugs should be legalized. They should be legalized, taxed, and regulated. So a lot does hinge on that last word of regulation. But you should be able to put in your body whatever you want to put in your body as long as you're not hurting anybody else. Even on the issue of guns, I consider myself a moderate. I think if you're a law-abiding citizen, you have every right to own a gun. When it comes to abortion, late term, I have some issues with, but I'm generally pro-choice. I think Roe versus Wade got it correct. So when it comes to social issues, I'm very much in favor of freedom. And what's interesting is that the right tends to oscillate on that depending on what depending on what the issue is. They'd rather cut in that right-wing direction whenever the social issue contradicts with what the so-called traditional worldview is. Now, with Charlie Kirk at the end there, he's like, look, I'm not saying it's a slur, I'm just saying it's a fact. The thing that he was really doing was comparing it with that 15% number, saying like only 15% of people are proud to be an American. It's funny to me that that's viewed as like what a shame that is. Because what does that even really mean? Like, what does that mean? I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to be from Belarus. I'm proud to be from Tahiti. Like, what does that even mean? I don't know what that means. Like, for me, there are some things I absolutely love about this country. I love the First Amendment. I love the Constitution. I love the New Deal. I love the Civil Rights Movement. But as the brilliant Dr. Cornel West says, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is as American as apple pie, and so is Donald Trump, and so is David Duke, and so is George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, the war criminals. The New Deal is as American as apple pie, and so was the atrocious war crime of the Native American genocide and segregation and slavery and things like that. So to just be like, I'm so proud to be an American. What does that mean? It just means, look, keep it real. That's the right-wing version of virtue signaling. Is like, I'm not going to, the same skepticism and truth telling that I think I'm bringing to other areas. I'm just on the issue of the nation state and this patch of dirt I was arbitrarily born on. I'm going to throw out the window all of my critical thinking skills and my ability to analyze and my skepticism when it comes to that, and just like, you have to be proud to be this or that. I mean, it's like saying I'm proud to be Christian, or I'm proud to be Hindu. Okay, what do you want people to do with that? I don't care if you're proud to be this, that, or the other thing. I don't care. I mean, it's almost like, funny enough, as much as they decry identity politics, it's like rigidly clinging to an identity. You know, it's like, oh, this is the thing that makes me what I am. This is the thing that makes me what I am. And I think that when it comes to sexuality, that's one area where you still have many conservatives. I don't know whether or not Charlie Kirk is in this group, but you still have many conservatives that are decrying a bygone era where it's like, you know, you should, if you have non-traditional sexual feelings or a sexual identity, it's like that you're weird and creepy, so you should just hide that. Just try to not, you know, that shouldn't be front and center. You should probably try to suppress that for this arbitrary thing that we've decided is an ideal, which is, of course, the Leave It to Beaver, like white picket fence, a dog, 2 kids, mommy and daddy. Mommy stays home, daddy works, and all that stuff. So the other thing is, if you don't care, right? If he doesn't care when he's like 39% are gay, gayest generation in American history, if you don't care, then what's the point of talking about it? Because he's clearly not talking about it to be like, hey, that's freedom, rah freedom, let's go. Then I don't know why you're talking about it. I don't. I genuinely have no idea why you're talking about it. Like I said, I'm a believer in freedom, and I think that what's more likely the case is that whatever these numbers are in reality, again, I think he's overstating it a little bit, but whatever these numbers are in reality, people are just a little more honest today. I mean, maybe you can make a case that to the very young generation, like the Zoomers, maybe now it's viewed as like more trendy to be somewhere on the LGBTQIA, LMNOP plus whatever spectrum. So some people might say they are, but they're actually not. So maybe you can make an argument that the numbers are slightly inflated because of that. But, you know, I don't know. You'd have to see some evidence for that. I think it's much more likely that culturally we're much more acceptable of both being gay and being bi now, so more people are open about how they feel about that stuff. That's what I think the reality is. And he doesn't care, but he thinks it's very noteworthy that we're, quote, the gayest generation in American history.